our journal. We're starting with our journal, and this is lesson 3.4. Have you guys noticed that we've kind of switched to doing our journal as our notes, so you don't have such a thick packet and we're not doing like so much lesson time in the class? Have you guys noticed that? So that's going to mean that it's really important for you to use your journal to do your homework. So the first thing that we need to start off with lesson 3.4 is our I can statement. So lesson 3.4, working with slope intercept form. Our I can statement is I can write the equation of a linear, and you remember you guys have this on your little green sheet, your half green sheet, of a linear function in slope intercept form, given two ordered pairs a graph or a table of values. So I can write the equation of a linear function in slope-intercept form given two ordered pairs, a graph, or a table of values. And that's huge. That is super important. Oftentimes, you're just given a table or two ordered pairs, and sometimes that's really hard to come up with an equation, right? So we're going to practice that today. Raise your hand if you need more time with the I can statement. All right. So some things that are important. A linear function, y equals mx plus b, has two parameters, meaning two things that you need to know. Parameters are, they're the things you need. You need to know these two things to write an equation, okay? Well, what are the two things that you need? The first one is the slope. Remember that M stands for slope. It's the average rate of change, and it's calculated when you're given two ordered pairs as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. A lot of times you will see me write the change in y over the change in x. Okay. The second thing that you need is the y-intercept. The second thing that you need is the y-intercept. And again, that is the ordered pair 0, comma b, where 0 is the x value and whatever the y value is when x is 0 is your output, or it is your output, but it's your y-intercept, okay? So when you're given a table, sometimes b is already in the table for you, right? When x is 0, so take advantage of that. So our first example is a graph. And I want you to notice that when I look at this graph crosses exactly at a coordinate grid on the y-axis. Do you guys see that? What is that y-intercept value? 2. So I already know my y-intercept. I already know that b equals 2. That doesn't happen very often. It's actually pretty uncommon for the y-intercept to be an exact coordinate grid. Okay? Now we have to calculate our slope. And I discovered yesterday, I think that we sometimes struggle with counting slope. When we count slope, we have to pick 2 points. They can be 2 points anywhere on the line, but they need to be integer points, meaning they have to exactly cross. They have to exactly cross at a grid line intersection. So this is an exact point. This is an exact point. This is an exact point. And way down here is an exact point. Okay. So I'm going to draw a line. I know that to go from one point to the next, left to right, I have to go up, and then I'm going to go to the right. So let's just count, how much do I travel upwards? How much do I have to go up? Well, let's see. I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because I'm going up, that's positive. And then we always run to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Positive 4. So my slope is my rise, which is 6, over my run, which is 4. Can we simplify that at all? What if you don't know? What if you don't know if you can simplify it? What could you do? Yes, we can divide by 2. Absolutely. But what if we picked up our calculator and we just put 6 divided by 4 in our calculator? Can you guys do that? Just do 6 divided by 4 in your calculator. 6 divided by 4. It gives you a decimal, 1.5, and I want you to hit math, enter twice. Yeah. Gives you the fraction. So if you do 6 divided by 4, this will help you reduce your fractions. 6 divided by 4. And we do not want the decimal answer. Press math. You want the fraction. Enter, enter. What is the fraction? 3/2. Why do we want to keep our slope as a fraction instead of a decimal? Yeah, because remember that you count slope. You have to count. So you go up 3/2. That's much easier than trying to move a decimal unit, right? Much easier. Okay. So we know what the y-intercept is and we know what our slope is. What is the equation? Ma'am. Perfect. And I will tell you that yesterday, some of you guys, when we were doing our warm up, some of you guys got it wrong when you were typing in your equation. You have to remember that x cannot be in the denominator. X is not in the denominator. It's off to the side. So you have to do the fraction 3/2. X is not part of the denominator. It's a whole number. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. So the second question says, test your equation for the value of x equals 2. So before I test my equation, I want to go look at when x equals 2 on my graph. And when x equals 2 on my graph, x is 2, my output is what? When x is 2, what is my output? 5. So if I wrote the correct equation, when I let x equal 2, I should get a y value of 5. Let's check that. We are going to let x equal 2, and we're going to plug it into the equation. Y equals 3/2 x plus 2. So when I say let x equal 2, that means I replace the x with a 2. So I have 3/2 times the whole number 2. So I'm going to write it over 1. 2/1 is the same thing as the whole number 2. I forgot how to multiply fractions. No worries. You can put it right into your calculator. Calculator. Here's what you would type in. Parenthesis. 3 divided by 2. Close your parenthesis. Times. That's an X. Like that's a multiply button, not times, parenthesis, 2 divided by 1. And then put plus 2. Your calculator will do the whole stinking thing for you. Your calculator will do all of that for you. When you do that, what do you get? 5. What are we supposed to get? 5. Yeah, the ordered pair up here is 2, 5. That's what we should get. So, yes, our equation works. we get 2, 5, which is from the graph. We do get 2, 5, which came right from your graph. So that tells me that I wrote a good equation. Are we good to go to the next one? Okay. All right. So example number 2. It says for the linear function shown, do the following. First, we have to pick 2 points that have integer coordinates on the line. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to go down to this graph and I'm going to pick 2 points that have integer coordinates. Does this point right here have an integer coordinate? No, it doesn't. It's not where grid lines intersect. So I don't want to pick that point. Someone tell me a point that has integer coordinates. Does someone? Owen.
5, 3.
5, 3. That's a good one. I'm going to label it 5, 3. Go ahead.
8, 2.
What'd you say? 8, 2. Okay. -4, 6. That's the one that I chose. -4, 6. Yeah, there are some good points up there. Let me write that a little bit darker. Can everybody see the -4, 6 up there? Okay. So we have our 2 integer points. I don't know which 2 you guys want to use. You just have to pick 2 of them. What 2 do you want to use? I'll tell you that I would always choose using positive coordinates over negative coordinates. Always. Just because sometimes we make mistakes.
I would choose 5, 3, and 8, 2.
Okay, so those are the 2 points we're going to use. So question B says calculate the slope. So we said we're using the ordered pair 5, 3, and 8, 2. We have to calculate the slope. And remember the formula on the front of our little journal is y2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Well, all of those little like smaller numbers next to the x's and the y's, all they mean is it's the number of ordered pair. So this is my first ordered pair. So this is x1 and this is y1 because it's the x and y coordinate of the first ordered pair. This is my second ordered pair. So this is x sub 2 and y sub 2 because it represents the x and the y coordinate from the second ordered pair. That's all that means, okay? So and I always label my points just like that. x1, y1, x2, y2. I think it just helps me. So I need to take the y sub 2 value. What is that? 2. Minus the y sub 1 value. What is that? What's the y sub 1 value? 3. Over the x sub 2 value. 8. Minus the x sub 1 value. 5. Perfect. Let's see. What is 2 minus 3? 2 minus 3 is -1. And what is 8 minus 5? It's 3. Okay, so this means that I have negative slope. That's what this is saying, that I have negative slope. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my graph and make sure that I have negative slope. It's just a good visual. Does my graph have negative slope? Yeah, if I were a stick figure starting at the very leftmost side of my graph, am I going to travel up or am I going to slide down? I'm going to slide, okay? So we figured out our slope. Our slope is -1/3, okay? So we know that our slope is -1/3. Question C says use one of the ordered pairs and your slope to write an equation in slope-intercept form. So we're going to write an equation that looks like y equals mx plus b. So we have to use one of those ordered pairs that we just used to calculate slope. We're either going to use the ordered pair 5-3 or 8-2? Which one do you want to use that doesn't make me any difference? 8-2? Okay. So I'm going to write that. We're going to use our slope of negative 1/3, and we're going to use the ordered pair 8, 2. And we have to write an equation that looks like this. Okay. So what are some things that we know? Do we already know what the slope is? We do. We do know that. When we talked about the very beginning parameters, we do not know the y-intercept. We're going to have to find the y-intercept. I'm going to write find b. That's our goal. But our ordered pair tells us something very special. What does your ordered pair give you? What is your ordered pair made of? Your ordered pair is made of an x and a y. So we can take the y coordinate and plug that in for y, and we can take the x coordinate and plug that in for x. And then, of course, we're going to swap out our slope value with the letter m, and we're going to solve for b. So I'm going to leave that there so you guys can draw your little arrows and do all that because I think it's important. We are going to solve for b. That's what I mean by find b. We're going to solve for b. Okay. So what value are we substituting in for y? 2. So 2 equals, what value are we substituting in for m? Yeah, negative 1/3. Times x. What value are we substituting in for x? 8. And since it's a fraction that it's being multiplied by, I'm going to write that whole number 8 as a fraction. 8/1. Plus b. Okay? So I know you're distraught because you have fractions there, but I just want you to use your calculator. And I want you to take parenthesis negative 1 divided by 3 parenthesis 8. Because it really was a whole number 8. Put that into your calculator and tell me what you get. Owen.
I got 2.66.
Owen, we can't use repeating decimals. So what could we do with that?
Wait and hit the mouse button and then enter 2 times.
Yeah, we want to turn that into a fraction. So I want all of you guys to do that. Hit the math button. What did you get, Ariana? Yeah. So I have 2 equals negative 8/3 plus b. What am I going to do to get b all by itself? Lissandro. Yeah, we're going to add 8/3 to both sides. Add 8/3 to both sides. Now, I'm going to write something off to the side. I know that the whole number 2 is the same thing as 6/3, but you may not know that. You may not know that. So I know that 6 plus 8 is 14/3, and that's the value of b. But you may have forgotten how to add fractions. So we're going to go to our calculator. And what 2 things are we adding together? We're adding the whole number 2 plus the fraction, parenthesis 8 divided by 3. Please put that into your calculator. The whole number 2 plus the fraction, 8 divided by 3. You have to make sure that you group that fraction. 14/3. What did I get? So it's 14/3. Do not leave it as that horrible decimal. So 14/3. So we know that our y-intercept is 14/3. Do we have the 2 things that we need to write a generic equation for y equals mx plus b? We do. We know our M and we know our B. Who is that? Okay, that's all right. So we know our M and we know our B. What's my equation going to be? Go ahead, Kenna. Yeah, y equals negative 1/3 x plus 14 thirds. That would be really hard to graph. The hard part would be to graph the 14 thirds and consistently do that, right? Do we have a tool that lets us graph something like that? We do have a calculator. What else do we have? Desmos. Yeah, we could put this in Desmos and look at a picture. I'm going to do that really fast just because I want you guys to see what it looks like. So I'm going to go to Desmos and I'm going to input this into Desmos just so you can see if our Desmos graph matches our graph that we have in our journal. So we said y equals negative 1 divided by 3, negative 1/3 x plus 14 thirds. So does our Desmos graph have negative slope? Yeah, it sure does. If I were to shrink these up just a little bit so we just saw the, where am I crossing the y-axis? Is it at an exact point? No, it's not. So do we match our graph? Absolutely. The Desmos graph matches the graph in our journal. Okay, ladies, shh, up front, thank you. All right, let's keep going. So let's do example number 3. So example number 3 says, hey, you have to find the equation of a line given 2 points. We're just given 2 points. So we're going to have to do the same exact thing. First, we have to find slope. That's the first thing that we have to do. We have to find our slope. And we do that with the function or the formula m equals y2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Okay? We're not picking points from a graph. We're given the 2 ordered pairs. We're already given those 2 ordered pairs. I still am going to go up to these 2 ordered pairs and I'm going to label them because that helps my thinking. I'm going to call this first coordinate x1, y1, and my second coordinate x2, y2. Do you guys understand why I label them x1, y1, x2, y2? Because you need them to be labeled so you don't mix up the order, right? So what is the value of y sub 2? What are we placing y sub 2 with? Anyone, just shout it out. 17, yeah. Minus, what is the value of y sub 1? 5. So I have 17 minus 5 over x sub 2. What is the value of x sub 2? 5 minus 2. Good job. Okay. So what is 17 take away 5? It's 12 over, what is 5 minus 2? Does 12 over 3 reduce? Yeah, it does reduce. It reduces into what? Reduces into just 4, not 4/3, just 4. So we know that our slope is 4. So we found our first parameter. Done. Second, we need to find b. That's our second parameter. And we do that by using our slope of 4 and one ordered pair. Pick one of them. I don't care. We just need one ordered pair. Which one do you want to choose, Michelle? Which ordered pair do you want to use? 2, 5 or 5, 17? 2, 5 or 5, 17? 2, 5. I like that. I would always choose smaller numbers over larger numbers. Always. Okay. What are we doing with this? Well, we're going to plug into y equals mx plus b because we have to solve for b. We have to solve for b. Okay, so I'm going to put a little underneath this coordinate, underneath this ordered pair. I'm going to label it x comma y so I know what value represents y and what value represents x. I think that's important. Okay, so what value, Daniel, are we substituting in for y? What value do we have labeled as y? 5. Good job. So I'm going to start off with 5 equals. 5 equals. Let's see. Now I need to figure out what m is. What value is m? Aiden. What value? Aiden A. Sorry. What value is m? 4. Good job. Aiden S. I need to figure out what x is. What value are we using to represent x? 2 plus b. We don't know what b is. We're trying to solve for it. Okay, let's see. So now we just have to do some simplifying. Can I simplify anything in this equation? Can I figure out what 4 times 2 is, Tim? It's 8. 5 equals 8 plus b. If I wanted to get b all by itself, Kylie, I wanted to get b all by itself, what would I do, Kylie? Look up at the board. I want to get b all by itself. Say that again. You're right. Yes, ma'am. Be confident. You got this. So 5 minus 8 is -3. So we find out that b equals -3. Do we have all of the information that we need to write an equation? Have we met our 2 parameters? Did we find our slope and our y-intercept? Yeah, we did. We know m and we know b. So what is our equation going to be? Owen.
Y equals 4x minus 3.
Yeah, y equals 4x minus 3. I will tell you that this is one of the hardest things you're going to learn in Math 1. I believe this is one of the hardest things that you're going to learn in Math 1 because it requires you to specifically follow those steps. But if you can master this, if you can follow those steps, which you get to use your notes on your tests and quizzes, if you can follow those steps, you will get it right every single time. Okay? We have one more example. You're going to tell me how to do it. One more example. You guys are going to tell me how to do it. And I'm just going to start around the room. So, Victoria, I'm going to start with you and I'm going to kind of zigzag up and down the rows. Okay? So, our next example, same thing. We're going to have to find the slope first. So, Victoria, what should I do to my ordered pairs before I even try to find my slope? How should I label my 2 coordinates up there? Look at how we labeled the ones above it. What did we put below those? X and Y. We didn't just write X and Y. What did we write? X sub 1, Y sub 1, because that's my first ordered pair. What's the next one going to look like, Victoria? Good job. X sub 2 and Y sub 2. Okay. Now what do we need to do? What equation am I using? Brianna, what equation am I using to find slope? What's the slope formula? Perfect. Absolutely perfect. All right. Yadri, I'm coming to you. What value represents y sub 2? What number represents y sub 2? Good job, 19. So I have 19 minus, Carla, what value represents y sub 1? 4. Good job. Over. Ariana, what value represents x sub 2? Awesome. Minus. Ken, what value represents x sub 1? Where is x sub 1? 3. Good job. All right. Michelle, 19 minus 4. 19 menos 4. You can say it. 15. Good job. Perfect. Tyler, 12 minus 3. Perfect. Owen, can I reduce 15 over 9, or is that already reduced all the way?
You cannot reduce it anymore.
I want you to put 15 over 9 in your calculator, everybody. Check this every single time in your calculator. 15 divided by 9. What do you get, Owen?
I get, in fractions, I get 5 over 3.
Good job. 5 over 3. Perfect. I'll fix it for you. All right, next. So we know what our slope is. What do we have to find next? Coming back up. Daniel, what do we have to find next? B, good job. So the second thing that we have to do is find B. Okay, so that means that I need to use my slope, which is 5 over 3, and I need one ordered pair. Tim, what ordered pair do you want to use? 3, 4. Perfect. Lissandro, what are we going to do to that ordered pair 3, 4? How are we going to label them? Just X and Y. Just X and Y. Good job. We're going to plug this in to the equation y equals mx plus b. We're going to plug it into the equation y equals mx plus b. Okay? All right, 8 and S. What are we going to use for the value of y? Good job. Equals. Avery, what are we going to use for the value of m? Perfect. 8 and A, what are we going to use for the value of x? I'm going to write it as 3 over 1. Even if we do it in our calculator, I still am. And then I finish it off with plus b because we don't know what b is, correct? Okay. I'm going to write a calculator option. Calculator, parenthesis, 5 divided by 3, close parenthesis, new parenthesis, times 3. So Kylie, you're going to do that operation and you're going to tell us what you get, okay? Look at me. You're right. You're right. Say it. Good job. So 4 equals this mess right here is 5 plus b. Kenna, I'm trying to get b all by itself. What do I need to do? Minus the 5 from both sides. You guys are doing so fabulous. So -1 equals b. Do we have both of the parameters that we need to write an equation? Yes, we do. I want you guys to say it together. What is this equation? Good job. Y equals 5/3 x minus 1. You guys have done awesome. Again, this is, I believe, one of the hardest things that you are going to learn.